Hi, I'm Jill Galloway. I'm an artist educator with the National Portrait Gallery and a full-time artist with J.J. Galloway Studio. In today's Drawn to Figures lesson, we're talking about the axis of the head. This becomes a really important tool or skill to know when you begin to turn your heads in space within your portraiture. Some of the hardest portraits to draw are ones where the head is just slightly angled like this, or maybe like this, or this. So you'll want to think about the axis to keep everything symmetrical and lined up. The only time the axis is not important in portraiture is when you're working in abstract. Otherwise, it's really important to think about how your head's lined up. You don't need to have any skills for today's lesson. We'll start with very simple concepts and then move forward from there. Okay, let's get started. For today's lesson, you'll use whatever your favorite sketching tool is. I'm using charcoal pencils, and on my pencil it says soft. There's varying degrees of hardness within charcoal pencils. I'd recommend using the softest one. It's easiest to erase those. Starting with a straight-on view, we'll first add the center line down the middle of the face. While the center line runs along the y-axis or up and down the head, the eye line runs side to side or on the x-axis. The eye line is halfway down the head. Now the axis of the head comes straight up out of the center line and down through the neck. The head turns on that axis, much like a globe would spin on its own axis. You need to be thinking about the ball within the head as a sphere or something that's around, because as you turn the head in space, you'll need to see it as 3D. Now turning the head to the side a little bit, notice how the center line starts behind the head, rolls up over the top of the head, and then comes down the front of the face. Next, add the eye line. Pay careful attention to the angle of the eyes, and note the eye line is always perpendicular to the center line, meaning it's the exact opposite, like a cross. The axis rises up out of the center line and goes down through the center of the neck. You'll want to think about the oval shape on the front of the face and perhaps put some shoulders in. Now again, look for the ball and then add the jaw. Sometimes it's easier to add the center line first to help you find the front of the face. Then you add the eye line. Remember to look at the angle of the eyes and make it perpendicular to the center line. And then you can add the oval front shape of the face, adding the jawline after that. There is no one exact order in which you build these. You can do it whatever way you think best, and sometimes I flop around, whichever way helps you, but these are the elements that help you find the axis or the correct angle of the head. If I'm working on an awkward pose, I keep that center line and that axis clearly visible the entire time so I can make sure I stay on track. A great way to practice this is to download some of the sitters from our collection and see if you can find the center line or the eye line and then the axis of each pose. I like to search for dancers and athletes because they're usually in unusual poses. To find our collection, just go to our homepage at www.mpg.edu and search under the portraits. This really is one of those lessons you just can't practice enough. I never make a portrait without putting the axis and the center line in, and I refer to it the entire time I'm working on a portrait to make sure everything's lining up. If it's difficult at first, don't worry, just keep practicing. You'll get it, and you will see a huge improvement in your portraiture practice. We would love to see what you came up with today. If you wouldn't mind posting your artwork on your social media with the hashtag MyMPG, then we can all check it out. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you next time.